It's your brother G World _D. I'm going back to Dr. Clyde Winter's book, History and Culture of the Black Aborigines of the United States. I'm going to go over to 350. All right, then I'm going to do this quick video and do my little quick narration. 350. Okay, right here. Origin of foundational Black Americans. As a result of Negroes as the original elites of Europe, many Caucasians hated Black/African people. The whites brought their hate of Black elites in Europe over to the United States. When these whites discovered the Americas were Black Indians, they refused to respect Black Indians. To form a buffer group between Blacks and Indians, whites gave favors to the Mongolian Indians, who were made honorary whites. Whites took Black Indian lands and labeled the original owners of these lands colored people, just like the enslaved Africans, due to life on the plantation and life on the colored communities throughout the United States. And the Black Indians and former slaves evolved into foundational Black Americans. Maroons and Black Indians had intimate relations. The Black Indians had often adopted Maroons in their communities. And Maroons built the communities in badlands and swamps where they protected their families from attack. European settlers have been trying for years to separate FBA from the land. Black Native Americans who were not sold into slavery lost their nationality when settler administrators changed their birth certificates and other records from Native to Negro. Other Aboriginal FBAs lost their heritage when the Dawes Commission changed the identity of Black Indians from Native Americans/Indian to freedmen and the Dow rolls into freedmen. Walter Ashby Plecker, 1861 to 1947, was a famous racist, employing the Virginia's Act to preserve racial integrity. Plecker effectively separated Virginia citizens into two simplified racial categories, white and colored. The law, which remained in effect until 1967, when it was overturned by the United States Supreme Court in the case of Loving v. Virginia, required the racial description of every person be recorded at birth, while criminalizing marriages between whites and non-whites. Although people like Plecker sought to divorce us from the land, FBAs have continued to teach their children and love the land and nature generally. In summary, I might have skipped a page. No, I didn't. Yeah. In summary, there were thousands of Aboriginal foundational Black American tribes. All right. Some of the Black Native American tribes were the Blackfeet, the Cree, the Choctaw, the Custodian, Kashita, Kushita, Lenape, Menokin, Mendinsa, Nanticoke, Narragansett, Naduwasi, Naantis, Ohlone, Petawamick, Peacock, Rempamoke, part my pronunciation, Shinnecock, Seneca, as in the Seneca Indians in the east, Seminoles, Secolan, Tamacraw, Tisoyaha, Tuscarora, Wampanoag, or Pokanakik, Washita, Yamasee, Yuchi. The Black Native Americans cultivated three sisters, maize, beans, and squash. Since the ancestors of the Aboriginal FBA were phenotypically Negro, they began to be identified as Indian slaves, freedmen, and finally colored. Eventually, as a result of bureaucratic erasure in the public records, the former Black Native Americans simply became identified as colored, like the former sub-Saharan slaves instead of Native American. As you can see, the Thanksgiving holiday is a problem it should be a day to give thanks for our blessings, but in reality the day was inaugurated for whites to give thanks for the ability to murder hundreds of men and women and children and make their ancestors slaves. Later, the settlers took away our Black Native American heritage and gave it to Mongolian people. They did this by stealing our land and later changed official records to deny our Black Native American heritage and make us colored or Negro people. Granted, we all are Black and should be proud of our African ancestors, but whites had no right to deny our nationality. We must, therefore, decide if we should really celebrate this infamous holiday or use it as a day to offer libation to our ancestors and continue to fight for justice in reparation for FBA. This is Clyde Winter's book. All right. This is Clyde Winter's book. Now, what I want to follow up on that you continue to have some of these dumbass Pan-Africans, and I heard some goofy African shit, man. She's a tether. I'm gonna call it like that. Made ignorant ass statement says black Americans have self-hate when they say they're Indian. I said before, all you gotta do is look at these names in Americas. The Gullah Geechee comes from, that name Geechee comes from Ogeechee, which was named after the Yuchi Indians. I just mentioned Yuchi. They was a Negroes. These weren't no goddamn Africans. They took in some Africans, but these were mostly Aboriginal Negroes that was already here. That may upset some of you Negroes, and that may upset many Africans who have a problem of acknowledging the fact that the original people in Americas were black, and there were millions of black people here prior to the Moor Christopher Columbus. All right, I'm gonna repeat this again. There were millions of black people already here prior to the Moor Christopher Columbus. And the ignorance that I hear from some people, and unfortunately some of our people are ignorant. They go along with these idiot individuals, and many of these Africans, man, stop trying to speak in our history. And some Caribbeans, but many of these Africans, stop speaking in history. You don't know a damn thing what you're talking about. You're very ignorant. I think I heard this African chick, I think she's Ethiopian, extremely ignorant, man. And talking about us self-hate. Your ass self-hate because your family fled to Germany. And now you ran back in Africa and Kenya somewhere, and you're going to make videos dissing Aboriginal Americans. Not every single so-called black person is an African. Then she mentioned talking about Manson Abubakari Muhammad II. That's what she brought up. Abubakari, the older brother of Mansa Musa. All right, but there are so-called Negroes here before King Musa was here. Oh, excuse me, King Abubakari was here. There was a bunch of Negroes I already mentioned in my other videos, various different type of Negroes that were here. And you look at them, they had a physical difference from each other. There's some brothers and sisters who was over here look more like Australian or Tanzanian. You can look at it, man. And you had some Negroes who look like there was some quail sand mixed in them. There's various different types of black folks in here. I study anthropology and archaeology. I study different facial structures and different body types all over the world, in Africa, and particularly also here in Americas. Those are very different body types and facial structures that was here in Americas too. But see, some of our people are so damn simplistic and ignorant, they have not really studied. So you get an African who, quote, was in Germany all her life, then fled back, her family fled to Germany, then she goes to Africa, ain't gonna sit there and talk about how, quote, FBAs have self-hate because they're African, and they claim that they're native. The original people in Americas were so-called black people. The original people all through the Pacific and Australia were so-called black people. The original people all of Asia were so-called black people. The original people all of Europe were so-called black people. Period. You had your black nobility ruled in all Europe. All you seen images of Negroes' faces on castles. All that stuff was ruled by so-called Negroes. But see, you're so blinded. You want to centralize and make every single black person just African because you so damn dumb and ignorant that you don't want to get on a raft or a boat and travel the seas and explore the knowledge that our people left around the goddamn planet. It shows you how ignorant you are. So this African chick and some of these other African dudes, like that home team history, continues to lie to our people and distort our history and need to shut the hell up because they're tethers. And I said it. They need to stay out of our business and shut the hell up because they don't know our history. And this is a deep form of self-hate on them because they cannot fathom the knowledge of black people navigating and selling the seas throughout the damn planet. Having that knowledge. Black people in America did their thing. and it was mostly us. You might have had other few people from other areas, but it's mostly us. Stop giving credit to other people for our stuff. We've been here. But if you too damn ignorant not to see that, that's on you. Brothers and sisters, I want you to continue your knowledge and learning. Unfortunately, when it comes to so-called black people, that term African is always thrown. I want you to bypass that, but break it down more. Like, there's very different so-called black people, so-called melanated people that ruled the world. They had very different hair texture and noses and cheekbones, but there was very different types of physical differences our people look like, or so-called black people look like, and heavily melanated people look like. All right, we had a variety facial structure. We didn't look one way. Just like in Africa, they don't look one way, or in Asia, they don't look in one